Sometimes it is surprising how amazing things happen in the lives of people who are no longer looking for happiness. I want to tell you about an unexpected turn in my dearest sister's story. It is about her fake marriage. We live far away from each other. Life scattered us, but sometimes we meet, go to visit, but rarely. We were on the phone more often, but still not every day. I can say that I just watch her life from the side. Unfortunately, I participate in it just a little. She married early, in my opinion. She was only 19 at the time, and their marriage was not reliable. After a year of marriage, she was fading. She was not funny and cheerful, and more often without mood and annoyed. Of course, such relationships sooner or later led to divorce, which soon happened. After him, she didn't want any relationships, didn't look for men, but really wanted a baby. She couldn't give birth by herself. The doctors diagnosed the barrenness. I remember that day she came home very upset and cried all night and couldn't calm down. As a sister, I tried to talk to her and find a solution. We talked for a long time, drank tea with sweets. As I know, sweet things cheer you up. In the end, she decided to go to the baby's house and find her little angel for herself. But this was not without problems. Although she earns well, she was still told that they only give children to full families. But my sister's character is not simple either. If she wants something, she will definitely do everything to achieve the goal. Then, without thinking twice, she decided to cheat. It is clear that this is not the best option, but she really wanted to become a mother, to have meaning in life. She decided on a fake marriage. Among her friends, as it turned out, there were no suitable candidates. She started searching the internet. It wasn't really important for her to find the perfect man for herself, since he was just needed for the acting role of a supposedly real husband. She didn't want to get married again, especially live together, and met a man on Facebook from her town. He was also divorced at the time. They met in a cafe, and she immediately told him everything as it really is. And she made it clear that she was not interested in a relationship, but simply wanted to offer him a fake marriage. It is clear that he was shocked at the time. No one makes such requests. But then they sat and talked. He said that he would think about it. Sister became not comfortable before him, but there was nothing to do. Fortunately, a week later, he called her back and said that he agreed, but they would have to sign a contract just in case she left him naked. Well, that wasn't a problem, you know. So they went to the registry office and signed it, quietly, without ceremony. My sister couldn't wait to adopt a little girl. A couple weeks later, he went with her to an orphanage to fill out the adoption papers. My sister always wanted a daughter. There she saw a very pretty little girl. She immediately sank into her soul, and so her dream came true, though not so quickly. She has to collect a lot of documents to prove that they can provide and raise a child. It took a couple of months before they gave her the girl. With this guy during this time, she already managed to make friends. Just talked, sometimes called on working issues, and just like normal friends, but nothing more. But went to pick up their daughter together so that the teachers do not have suspicions. And besides, they didn't immediately get a divorce so that the social service wouldn't suspect a fake. 6 months passed, and then destiny interrupted again. There was a fire in the house where her fake husband lived. Several apartments burned down, including his. He had no one else in town, and his parents were long dead. And she offered to let him live with them for a while he could find another place to live, in retaliation for his kindness. He agreed to her suggestion, but since he didn't want to embarrass her too much, he said that he would buy the food then, and it's just for a couple months while he gets her apartment back up. I don't know exactly how they did it, but then about a couple months after he moved in, I saw her Facebook photos of her, him, and the baby. They looked so happy and pleased, just like a real family. Of course, I couldn't resist and start calling. Instead of hello, I heard in the phone, they changed their minds about getting a divorce. Of course, I wanted a lot of details, but all I heard was that she didn't understand how he became something more to her than a fake husband. And now their daughter is already a year and a half old. I went to the holiday. They look like a happy young family. If someone doesn't know how it all started, they won't guess. He loves her. He cares for both of them. I'm very happy for her, although I still can't believe it happened. It is interesting that sometimes fortune can turn around in ways that we would not have thought possible. And all in the end, ends in the best way. Tell us in the comments if this story may have happened to you or your friends. And don't forget to subscribe! I want to share my own story from my shocking life in which I was forced to marriage. Fortunately, no one wanted to protect me. Growing up, I always felt trapped between two cultures. My family was very traditional. We weren't allowed to show our legs or have boyfriends. I wasn't allowed to stay at a friend's house for a night or go to the movies. It all weighed on me, and it felt like I was in a cage. Of course, I can understand that you need to be a well-mannered and decent girl respecting religion. But some things went beyond certain limits. My family wanted us to graduate early and just get married. I ran away from home when I was 18. I passionately wanted freedom, and I didn't want to be forced into a religion or a marriage that wasn't for me. I wanted to develop and learn a lot of new things. But my family didn't consider it. They did everything to bring me back. After 3 months of threats and emotional blackmail, I returned home. My uncle grabbed me by the throat and told me that he would happily sit 20 years in prison for removing the shame I had brought to the family by running away from home. A few months later, my father decided to take me to my grandparents in a village, since I hadn't visited them in more than a decade. We had a big family send-off at the airport, and one of my aunts said, "You should come back a married woman." I remember feeling absolutely painful, my voice breaking as I tearfully told myself, "I'll not go! I'll not go!" On the second day of our stay in the village, my father's friends came to greet us, and after that, they started pestering me with questions, asking, do I want to marry a man that I just met? My uncle wanted to marry me off as soon as possible. Whatever the problem, I kept saying I didn't want to get married, but no one listened to me. They just said, "You're not saying what we want to hear." The more I was suffering persecution, the weaker I became. I felt like I had no choice other than getting through it. Despite the fact that I had never met my future husband, the wedding was quickly arranged. I couldn't believe what was happening that day, and I blamed myself for letting it happen. The first night I told him, "Look, we don't know each other. I know everything has to happen on your wedding night. Do you not mind if we don't? I'd like to get to know you first." A reasonable request, you might think, but no. It turned out that in his understanding, the wife should always listen to her husband and do whatever he wants without extra words. In the first year of our marriage, we moved to the city. Even though we lived together, we always argued. I studied cosmetic therapy, which he hated because I had men in college with me. We had completely different views. He kept telling me to wear Asian clothes at home and not go out in jeans. The first time he hit me, we were arguing in a car parked outside the college. I was hoping someone would see it and stand up for it, but no one did. I managed to escape, and my sister took me to my parents' house. My mother asked, "What did you say to provoke him? I know you. You must have said something." I felt completely overwhelmed. After another argument, he told my parents how terrible I was. My mother told me, "Apologize to him or get a divorce and marry an older man. Now you are damaged wares. No one will ever marry you again." My parents were always afraid that they would disgrace me for my behavior in front of others. This was a turning point for me. I decided that suicide was the only way out. Once, when I was alone in the house, I strongly set myself up for this terrible act. Suddenly, a friend from college called me. I told him what I wanted to do, and he made me promise to stop. We've been secret friends since the first day of school. He knew that I was married and that I was in a difficult position. I made a sudden decision. I packed up my things, and within 30 minutes, I was on a friend's doorstep. This was the beginning of my escape from my husband and family. Today, I live far away from them. I am divorced, and my secret friend and I live together. I'm now leading the life I've always dreamed of. My family doesn't know where we live, but I sometimes visit my parents. My boyfriend doesn't understand how I can contact them, but I can't completely give up communication. No matter what, they are still my family. I wish that no one else will encounter this. And still in life, there are always ways out of any situation. Just do not despair and do terrible things. In an instant, everything will change the way we want to. Just need to believe in it.